Hello, my name is Brenda Holmes with Doppler Systems, and today I'm going to talk you through doing a Doppler Systems VHF fixed-site antenna installation. So when you've opened your box, you'll have the following components. You'll have a base mast clamp set, along with the base mast. They ship in the same box. You'll have your VHF antenna frame, your VHF antenna elements, there'll be 16 of those, and your cable set based on the length that was ordered. All right, so we're ready to begin installing the antenna. The first thing you're going to need is your Allen keys, which you can find in your base mast mounting kit. Or you can also use an Allen key driver for an electronic screwdriver. That's what we're going to use for speed. So when you look at your antenna frame on the connector side, you're going to see some screws protruding. You're going to remove these screws using a 9/16 Allen key, making sure you don't lose the screws or the washers that are on them. Only the ones that are protruding out. Now at this point, your base mast should fit right over the connectors and the vent and fit snug against the antenna frame. You're going to use your driver to drive those screws that you've just removed back in, making sure they're tight, but not over tightened. And your mast is now installed to your antenna frame. All right, so now we're going to put the mast clamp onto our base mast. So you can pull them out of the box. You'll want to make sure you loosen the nuts such that it will allow the clamps to open wide enough to accommodate the mast that you are going to go to. So I've already done that here. So we'll slide our first one on. And you can slide our second on as well. All right, and at this point, we can tighten up the nuts so that it holds the mast secure. And you can start by hand tightening them, but you're going to ultimately finish adjusting the tightness using a 3/4 inch open end wrench to make sure that they're snug on the mast. All right, at this point, if you're going to be installing on top of a tower, you will want to just make sure your brackets are wide enough to accommodate the outside diameter of the post you're going to install it on. Or if you're going to put it on a post or a pole down at ground level, you can now attach that as well. So we'll do that for demonstration here. Again, loosening this up enough to accommodate it. And then tightening up those nuts again, making sure that the masts are in alignment. And finishing with the open end wrench. All right, so now we're ready to install the cables. So at this point, you're going to take your cable set and unspool them, being careful not to crimp or damage them. There are ferrites if you don't want to drop, because that can break them. You also want to make sure you keep the dust covers on as long as possible. When you're ready to attach, begin with the control cable. Pull the cap off that in here. And this is keyed to one another. So you'll want to line up the key. And you'll know it's aligned when it slides on. And then you just use the outside shell to tighten it. And you want to make sure it's fully seated into this red line. and it will quit turning when it's fully seated. You do not want to use any tools to tighten those. They should be hand tightened. Next, we're going to do our coax. So again, remove its dust cover and basically seat it and twist its outside shell as well. And if it's a little difficult to thread, you can wiggle the cable a little bit to make it a little bit easier. And when it stops turning, you'll know it's fully seated as well. Again, no tools on this, just hand tightened. At this point, then, you're going to apply zip ties, hold the cables to the mast, keeping them on their own side of the fiberglass mast. And the intent of this is to just make sure the cables stay in place and prevent them from getting blown around in the wind, and to ease in your cable routing. And you do not want to tighten them so tight that they pinch the cable, but just enough to hold them secure to the mast. All right, so at this point, this is what your antenna assembly should look like, and it is ready to go and be installed on your mast or tower. Thank you for listening, and have a good direction finding experience.